All right, apologies for that brief delay. So, we are going to have instead, on the left of our screen, Ryan Cade, who's playing his winning in at 3-1. He is on Jeskai Nahiri. And I knew some people wanted some control decks today, so you're going to get your chance in this round.
All right.
Facing him is someone we've seen on stream already today, John Tatian, also playing his winning in on Infect.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like Ryan just took a mull to 6.
John's looking over his 7. Looks reasonable.
It looks
like... Is it a 1-lander with 2 probes?
It's a 1-lander with at least a probe, which is keepable, especially considering he already has the Infect creature, so it doesn't need a lot to make this one good. So this is... Yeah.
Okay.
So this is traditionally not a great matchup for Infect.
We saw the bolt in hand from Ryan.
So Jeskai Nahiri has access to Lightning Bolt, Path to Exile, and a bunch of other removal.
Yep.
Like Snapcaster Mages and whatnot to flash it back.
Yep, and we are ready to go from the booth.
I don't know. So I said before that when I thought somebody drew 7 cards, but I don't know if they're calling a judge or just waiting for the heads up.
It looks like they're waiting for the heads up. Just waiting for both players to begin.
Mm-hmm.
You want to bring up Twitch chat to see what they have to say about the control? Yes!
So, Sneaky, some people are undefeated.
But they're not playing.
Right, so you're allowed to intentionally draw a match, which doesn't give you as many points as winning. But if you have enough points going into the last round, you can just intentionally draw and still have a record that's good enough to make top 8 and continue in the tournament.
Correct.
So these are what we expect to be the highest ranking players that are playing this round.
Yep. So John led off with a Gataxian Probe, which drew him into a second Glistener Elf. Looks like he has Twisted Image, Misty Rainforest, 2 Glistener Elves, and 3 other cards that I didn't see. Jeskai Nahiri, Ryan, on the other hand, had at least Bolt and Lightning Helix, both of which are good in this matchup.
Yeah, and because Ryan had that Bolt, John can't just lead with his Infect creature.
Correct.
Because it'll just immediately die. He needs to be able to try to protect it.
Yep.
But unfortunately, it doesn't look like he actually has any way to protect it in the first place. So we might just be seeing an elf get sent in to die here. All right, he's going to play it slow.
All right. So Ryan has the advantage here if he had played something with the light total not exactly being at a premium. Ryan has the advantage of basically getting perfect mana in this matchup.
Correct.
And whenever you're playing Bolt and Helix, it's pretty good to do that and still have your blue mana.
So taking a look at the deck list, this looks like a pretty straightforward Jeskai Nahiri list.
Yep.
So there's 4 Nahiris in the main,
along with
and just 1 Emrakul.
Yep.
Cards of note that might be good in this matchup is he has 2 Electrolyzes. He has a main deck Anger of the Gods.
Okay.
2 Spell Snares. And then the rest of his counter magic is 2 Remands and 3 Mana Leaks.
Okay. So of note
and a Cryptic Command.
Of note for John, he is playing the 2 main deck Twisted Image. We talked about that earlier today. He's also playing 2 main deck Apostle's Blessings. He is playing a copy of Groundswell. And he has a main deck Dismember. Pretty straightforward.
So he's playing the 4 Mighty Volt Corrosive 1 Groundswell.
Correct.
And John decided to go to discard instead of casting one of his elves.
Yep, because he wants protection for it, almost certainly.
Yeah, I didn't actually see... Besides the... So, okay, he has an Apostle's Blessing.
He has Twisted Image, Apostle's Blessing.
So he's able to play this elf and still protect it?
It looks like he has Might, Vines, Become Immense, Apostle's Blessing, Image, 2 Elves.
So the game plan for John here is to try to exhaust Ryan's removal spells by playing an elf and just protecting it, trading protection spells for removal spells, and he's still holding on.
And this can't be good for John, because Ryan just drew his second Path to Exile alongside Bolt and Helix.
Yeah, so when Jeskai Nahiri has access to a lot of mana, they just have so many removal spells in the deck.
Yeah.
One of the easiest ways to win from the Infect side is to just present threats so quickly and present lethal so quickly that they just don't have enough mana to cast the removal spells in their hand.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Jeskai Nahiri has access to 2 of the best 1 mana removal spells in
Path and Bolt.
In Modern.
Yep.
Which is why John opted to play the slow game.
Yep, so John, unfortunately, the way that Infect really gets around control, and we were talking about this during our Fact or Fiction earlier, the fast decks can usually just go under the control decks, but they have to have the resources quickly. So if you let any control deck draw enough cards, they're going to have all the answers they need. And with this kind of deck, we're not seeing many counter spells. We're seeing a lot of interaction and a lot of removal. 2020.
So John drew another land, and if he doesn't want to go for it with 4 lands, I'm not sure what he's trying to wait for. He might be trying to set up lethal with an Inkmoth Nexus, but
that's a really risky proposition.
Yeah, and it's still vulnerable to all of the same things, so I don't think that's what he's trying to do. I think he's...
So, Ryan cannot play Lightning Helix and Path. He has 1 light source.
It's true.
So he essentially has 2 removal spells that matter here.
But 2 removal spells on the turn is plenty.
That's fine, yeah.
Though, so one...
There's the crack fetch. John will go to 15.
By playing this way, John... His other he might have been trying to wait for a Nahiri to come down, and then he could try to present lethal with an Inkmoth, but he doesn't actually have those tools in hand, so...
Sure.
It looks like he's finally going to pull the trigger here.
There's the Glistener Elf.
Alright, so we're gonna see fights over this Glistener Elf. It's
very fast lightning bolt from Ryan.
Yeah.
Looks like we are going to fight.
And John can... Let's see, so Might of Old Krosa doesn't save it. He can use Become Immense if he wants to. But
even if he uses Become Immense, he can just get Helix in response or Path.
Sure, but I'm saying from John's perspective. And Become Immense is the best pump spell in the hand right now, so it's unlikely we're going to see him use it there.
So that resolved. Looks like he's in a Twisted Image purely to get a card draw.
So he's going to...
I think John recognizes that it's not a very good interaction against the control deck.
Yeah, I mean,
so he's going to draw...
cashing it in when he can is fun.
Yeah. I like that line.
And if you're going to draw a random card, it's better to do it first because it helps get seal information a little bit. All right, Apostle's Blessing, paying 2 life, naming Pro Red.
Yep. And what this also does is it fuels his Become Immense far quicker.
Right.
So it'll make his next turn more interactive.
So he actually, with the lands he has in play now, he is able to present lethal at the Inkmoth Nexus at this point.
And there's a mana leak.
Which is
well timed by Ryan.
So John can go for a Vines here, which would be unreasonable.
But then he just gets Path next turn.
Yeah,
he doesn't know that, obviously.
But I think from John's perspective, a Path is fine because it helps him. It helps him protect the Inkmoth Nexus with more mana. That's one of the best things about Inkmoth Nexus in this matchup is it lets you choose when you want to pick the fights.
Sure. But Ryan can't be too upset that he's expending some of his resources here just to protect the elf.
Yeah, well, it's what I said earlier that, I mean, John, going into this matchup, he knows he's going to have to fight. Unless he has a blisteringly fast hand, he knows he has to fight through Ryan's removal.
And there's a Lightning Helix.
There's just no way around it. So we're going to see a land from Ryan here, which lets him hold up.
Yep, Ryan's going to go to 21 off the Helix Resolution.
Bolt. So if you're John and you're just anticipating Snap Bolt, you could potentially go for lethal here.
Yep.
Because his hand beats Bolt. Unfortunately, Ryan also has access to Path.
Yeah.
So Ryan's game plan here is to just make sure he can't present a situation where he's going to just die, and then once he has enough resources, he can start pressuring John's life total with that Snapcaster Mage. He might even play the Snapcaster Mage and just either bolt John or do nothing with it just to start presenting a clock, because Celestial Colonnade's too mana intensive for this matchup.
Sure.
It's just tapping all of that mana to attack with it. It's too difficult to still have mana up after that. And John's presenting a pretty nice target for the bolt.
Well, he is going to activate Inkmoth.
Yeah, so if John doesn't go for this,
which he does.
Well, I'm saying John, this isn't what I mean by going for it. So
well, he's going for the attack.
Yeah, he's likely going to just let 2 through here.
Yep.
So if John goes for it, he would get blown out by that path, and he can't let that happen. But I expect Ryan to fight over this Inkmoth now, end of turn. And if you're not familiar with this matchup, the reason Ryan takes 2 Infect and then fights over this is that he can play Snapcaster Mage to bolt the Inkmoth, and if John saves the Inkmoth with one of his pump spells, that's damage that Ryan's not taking.
Correct.
It's infect that he's not taking. So one of the ways Ryan could have lost the matchup is to be, okay, before damage, Snapcaster, tap out to bolt it, and then he just
he
dies.
goes finds and dies to become immense.
Yeah.
Do you know how many silver bullets in this Nahiri?
Looks
like just the Emrakul.
Yeah, I think Nahiri only tuners up Emrakul in this deck.
Yep.
I mean, obviously you can tuner up a Snapcaster Mage to play a value game.
Or a Click.
Yeah, Vendilion Click would be interesting too.
But yeah, it's mainly just the Emrakul.
The Emrakul is like the Haymaker.
There's a Snap Bolt, there's the Might of Volcrosa. To save the
Ink Moth, so the Might of Volcrosa is just +2/+2, but that's enough because it has the Exalted trigger.
Yep, because we're still at end of turn.
But like I said, yeah, that's damage that Ryan's not taking. So now John has the Become Immense, which is lethal with the Exalted trigger.
Ryan has double path Snapcaster Emrakul in hand. Just where Emrakul needs to be.
And just to reiterate, Ryan is at 2 poison right now.
Yep.
Because it was 1 from the Ink Moth and 1 from the Exalted trigger.
Can we actually check with our folks to
we'll
get a
get
green die?
that green die again.
That'd be great. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, double pass Snap Emrakul. There's a lot of options to remove.
In the hand earlier. It's unfortunate.
Well, what's not unfortunate are the other 3 cards. There's a lot of ways to interact with the Infect deck. Alright, so there's the green die indicating his Infect.
Thank you, Ryan.
Are you thanking yourself?
I was thanking this Ryan.
Oh, I thought you were thanking yourself. How shameless.
Okay, so he took
3 Infect.
So he went for the Pendlehaven activation before the Exalted trigger.
And there's a Glistener Elf.
So, yeah, that Ink Moth Nexus is still activated. So if Ryan wants to go after it, he can. He's going to go for... Oh, he's going to snap Mana Leak the Glistener Elf.
Fair play.
And then he might actually even go for a Path on the Ink Moth now. Yep, there it is.
Well, he has a Might if he wants to use it.
Well, the Might doesn't do anything against Path, obviously.
Oh, yeah, sure. I was thinking Vines of Aspwood.
He needs a Vine, yeah. So this is very bad for John.
Yeah.
He tried to play the conservative game where he exhausts all of Ryan's removal spells, but he just, between what he drew and the Snapcaster Mage, he just had so many.
Yeah.
And
so,
the Mana Leak obviously hurts too, because it's ideal to be able to slip your creatures in under cards like Mana Leak.
Sure.
But he wasn't able to this game because he played conservatively.
Yep, and this is what we were talking about in our Factor Fiction. If you're going to play a control deck, you have to have one that can still interact and still produce a threat. Here we have 2 Snapcaster Mages, which are legitimate aggro threats against a deck that no longer has good creature answers beyond your Noble Hierarch.
And he had 2 1-mana removal spells this game?
He had 3. 2 Paths and a Bolt. I mean, we did see the Mana Leaks come in, but there's not many counter spells, and there's a lot more interaction. So currently, Ryan is up 7 life over John at 17-10.
Yep, and it's time to try to close the game out.
Yep. He's going to start bashing in with Snapcasters and Celestials. John's going to take the damage. That's going to be... Celestial Calling needs a 3-4 or a 4-4?
4-4.
4-4. So he's going to take 8 and go to 2.
And I don't believe there's any draw on the deck that can help here after not blocking the last turn.
Yep.
Because
John would have to be able to deal 17 damage this turn.
Yeah. Or produce
10 infect
more,
on the spot.
or produce more blockers than he has access to right now.
Yeah, John just passed the turn back.
Yep,
Ryan's gonna go
smash.
Ryan's gonna go old hat, swing in. Boom boom. And looks like John's packing it up. Alright, so Ryan is gonna take game 1 with Jeskai Nahiri over John Tatian on Infect. We're gonna be moving to game 2 in just a moment, but let's take a look at the sideboards.
Yep.
You can actually act off if you want while they're sideboarding, that's up to you. So I'm taking a look at, let's actually focus on the Jeskai Nahiri sideboard because we haven't seen it yet.
Sure.
So he has a lot of 1-ofs. He in fact has 10 1-ofs. 1 of Anger of the Gods, 1 Dispel, 1 Supreme Verdict, 1 Is It Staticaster.
Yeah, it's coming in.
It's definitely coming in. Wear Tear is good against the Ink Moth Nexus.
It also has the added benefit of killing Wild Defiance if the Infect player chooses to bring that in.
Yep. Negate almost certainly coming in.
Yep.
Stony Silence, probably not coming in.
Nope.
Timely Reinforcements, I don't think life total matters enough.
Purge does nothing.
Crumble to Dust does next to nothing. Rest in Peace is interesting.
I like Crumble to Dust more than Rest in Peace.
Really?
So, I mean, Crumble to Dust is it's an answer for Ink Moth. So you just snap it. You just don't have
but
to worry
doesn't do
about
enough in
Ink
this
Moths for the rest of the
matchup.
game.
I think Crumble does way more against like Utron matchups.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly there. It's not necessarily here for this matchup. But
it can be useful if you can find pieces to take out.
So I mentioned before that Ink Moth lets the Infect player choose when he's ready to fight.
Sure.
But Crumble to Dust takes that away.
Yeah. Okay.
And also takes it away for the rest of the game. So I think it's a reasonable inclusion depending on what Ryan's cutting.
So
for example, I think it's reasonable. Would you cut all of the Nahiris in this matchup?
I don't know if I cut all of them because you can still exile tap creatures. I think you exile some number.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that's fine.
I think your high...
It makes it harder to play the chip game.
Your high mana counter spells, I think, go first.
Yeah.
Your Cryptic Command. I think Remand.
Yeah, Remand,
isn't that great
Remand
here?
Is gone.
Spell Snare's good.
Mana Leak can go next, but I definitely keep Spell Snare, and especially on the draw. Yeah, so Anger's staying in. And I've seen arguments for boarding in cards like Geist in matchups like this because you want to try to be able to kill your opponent quickly, but I don't really like that. I don't
think you need it here.
I think getting here is supposed to just fully play the control matchup and try to answer every threat that John presents.
Well, what he did game one, he answered the threats, had Snapcasters, and then had an aggro plan to end the game.
Yeah.
I do think Rest in Peace is interesting, if only because it shuts off Delve. It makes Become Immense essentially uncastable, and if it is castable at that point, you're probably behind. But some reasonable sideboarding options. We'll see what he brings in.
You can always shave some of the more expensive stuff.
Yeah.
Like somebody in chat mentioned Electrolyze, which I've seen players both keep it in and take it out. It's expensive. Some people argue that the upside is good enough, but
sure.
So it looks like
in John's deck, Grafdigger's Cage may come in, if only to keep him from casting the cards in the graveyard.
Yeah, I think Grafdigger's Cage is too narrow.
It's narrow, but it could be useful. Spellskite's definitely coming in.
I don't think you can dilute your deck enough because I think if a card doesn't answer a removal spell or progress your game plan, there's no room for it in this matchup.
That's fair. We do have the 2 Spellskites, which are almost certainly coming in.
Yes.
2 Spell Pierce.
The Dispel
likely coming in. Dispel's coming in.
Yep.
I think that's probably about it.
Yeah, so the Distortion Strike in the main, it's coming out for sure.
Sure.
He just doesn't present enough blockers.
That's fair.
And I don't like the Dismember either.
Okay. So both players are shuffling up. Let's make our way back to the matchup.
Yep.
And we'll see what John's going to do on the play. To everyone viewing on Twitch right now, definitely thank you for coming out today. We know there's a lot of other things you could be watching, including the World Championship. So we thank you for thinking that Modern's better than Standard and spending part of your day with us. Looks like Ryan took a mulligan to both players took mulligans to 6 there.
Yep, I think that favors John in this matchup.
You think this favors John?
I think the mulligans in general favor.
Oh, okay, sure. And him being on the play.
Yeah.
So, any other spoilers from Kaladesh you think are interesting right now beyond the fast lanes?
I really have to. I don't know what the standard format's going to look like when the set comes out.
It's going to look like a bunch of cars.
Yeah, a
bunch of cars and crews.
There's a couple pushed mythics already.
Yeah.
There's the 3 green 4/4 that distributes 4 counters when it enters the battlefield. That card seems
very good because it can hit itself.
Yeah, so it can just become an 8/8 trample when you need it to be, or just make one of your flyers a 5/5. Like if you have a Thopter, you can just make it a 5/5.
Yeah,
which is pretty ridiculous.
I'm actually interested in one of the cards from Modern right now, and that is Inventor's Fair. The new legendary land that got spoiled.
Is it a legendary?
It is a legendary.
Okay, I didn't realize it was a legendary.
Yeah,
I think it hurts it a lot. It
hurts it, but I still think it's good in a few of the Modern decks.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think it's probably going to help Lantern control.
I think that's the best deck it's going to go in.
That deck's been looking for a convenient source of live game for a while.
Yep.
And I think they can afford to run it.
I think they can as well. I think Tron also can consider running one or more of these.
I don't know if Tron actually has 3 artifacts in play that much. The only artifact they leave in play is Spellskite and O-Stone like in the early game.
Okay.
The maps and spheres and stars, they just sack right away.
Sure. I definitely think Lantern Control is the home for that Inventor's Fair deck.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what it does.
And I don't think Affinity.
Looks like
people have been talking about an Affinity. I don't like it there either.
Looks like Ryan was stuck on 5 cards on the draw here. John kept his 6.
All right,
now we're gonna get to see what 5 are. He kept Encrypted Command. Interesting.
All right. Well, if John has a 1-drop, yeah, I mean, Cryptic, it's serviceable. Like it's besides Spell Pierce, it can always like at least buy you a turn if they can't Spell Pierce it.
Yep. So it looked like Ryan had Dispel, 1 land, Lightning Helix, Cryptic Command, and a spell.
Yeah. So I think John's probably. Oh wait. There's an argument for both, but with that hand, I think you just slam the elf.
I agree. And hedge on him not getting the second land.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get the damage in either way. Well,
yeah.
You fetched a forest, so I might be going for the Hierarch.
Okay.
It's just the one problem with developing your mana is that he doesn't really have anything to spend it on right now.
Sure.
And Ryan's going to have access to
he drew Path.
It's funny.
Good draw.
So, yeah, Ryan's going to have access to the spell anyway, so...
He does have Spell Skite, though. So, does he have the second land? Yes, he has it off Noble. He might want to respond here by pathing the Hierarch, but I don't think he does.
Nah, I don't think so.
I mean, if only to keep him off mana.
Well,
but then he gets another mana, which would be green. Keep him off white. And or blue.
Yeah, keep him off
Does
blue.
Infect play basic islands?
John certainly plays...
He doesn't play any basic islands, actually. His only basics are forests.
John plays this deck
and
a lot differently than Robnik and I do.
Okay.
I see Robnik in chat here.
Hi, Robnik. So how do you play it?
I would have played this hand a lot more aggressively.
John's hand, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, I mean, I didn't catch if he had the Spellskite in the opening hand.
I don't think he did.
But that does... And so if he has a 1 land... If he had the 1 land and the Spellskite, that actually makes the Noble Hierarch play make a lot more sense.
Yep. So Ryan's
you have to develop your mana right away, and you want to have the Spellskite down before you expose the elf.
Sure.
He does have a backup elf, though, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, so Ryan's going to fetch
actually,
Shock down to 17 to get the Sacred Foundry. He's going to attempt to path the Glistener Elf here.
Yeah, so John actually didn't have a backup Glistener Elf, so I like this play more and more as I understand his hand fully. It looks like he also has the Dismembering.
So Robnik's saying he wouldn't have brought in Spellskites in this matchup?
Yeah, so Robnik doesn't like Spellskite in this matchup because it really only trumps Lightning Bolt.
Okay.
But obviously it protects you from one path, so it's just another card that requires a removal spell.
And you can see John actually just let it go through here. Value into basic land. And the Spellskite. Looks like he drew a Blighted Agent.
Well, I mean, the Blighted Agent made this play pay off a lot.
Yeah.
Does he not have it? Yeah, he does have a Dismember. Yeah.
Yep, he has a Dismember. At least 1 become immense, maybe 2.
Why do you think he let the Glistener Elf go here? Just to be clear, he drew the Blighted Agent, right?
Yeah. I don't know, to be honest. I would have paid the 2 life, personally. But if you want to protect it later, whenever you actually have a... I don't know. That's actually a good point.
Yeah, this is post-board.
This is post-board.
Yeah, I can't... I don't
have a good reason for that.
I convince myself that the sequencing was correct, but I don't know why he let the elf go.
So he has 2 more Helixes now, negate in hand.
Especially if he didn't have any creature before. And let me get the life totals updated because...
Yep, I was saying, I mean, you were talking, I'm sorry.
I mean, it's the Infect versus just kind of Eerie match.
Man, life totals are relevant, right?
I mean, they might become relevant, and it's looking like
he starts attacking with Noble Hierarch.
Well, he has 2 Become Immenses in his hand, but so it looks like he has not a lot to fuel them with.
3 counter spells, negate, dispel, cryptic. 3 of them can be cast, and 2 lightning helixes. So John has a way to protect Spellskite from both of those helixes, or to protect Blighted Agent with Spellskite.
Yeah, chat's pointing out that John did know about the Helix.
Sure.
And the Spellskite, like Bolt, blanks Helix.
Okay.
So as long as the Spellskite's in play,
That's
that
fair.
he like is like kind of uncastable.
Yeah, good point.
But it's tough. It's tough making that decision when you just don't even have a backup infect creature, which is why I was pointing out that the life totals might come into play here.
Sure.
Because to let that go and not even try to fight over it kind of indicates that you're ready to.
Well, he just knew he was going to draw
go
light
for the backup plan.
Just knew it.
He has a lot of pump in hand.
He does.
What's that card on the far left?
Far left, I wanted to say was Vines.
I know he has a Vines. I don't know if he has 2.
Thanks, Matembo. We love you too. Where we'll make infect here.
Yeah. So the saving the Spellskite is kind of randomly not going to work out that well.
Yeah.
Because the Spellskite.
Because he drew where?
The Spellskite is just going to die now. Obviously, John, that wear and tear wasn't there before, but. And Ryan's up to 6 poison.
Yep.
So we know about the Dispel here. So John can protect the Spellskite.
He also has a negate, but he doesn't have the mana for it. Sorry.
Right. So John knows that if he goes to try to protect the Spellskite, it's gonna bait a Dispel. It might be worth it anyway.
It might be. I actually like that plan. He has triple Become Immense in hand.
All right. So if his backup plan. If his backup plan is to go for the damage kill, which he's
tapped out.
He's going to lose his. We know based off of.
Yeah.
John also knows that he's losing his infect creature right now. So.
Just draw a path. Just draw it.
Yeah, so John knows that this Blighted Agent's probably going down.
Yeah, Omar Till, just kind of here he won game 1. Or Rodnick, rather, sorry.
And holding the Vines here just makes Ryan use the mana on his turn if he wants to do that.
Yep. So John fails to find here.
Yeah, in fact only runs 2 forests.
Dryad Arbor.
It's not a basic.
Oh, it's not a basic. Nope, it's just land forest Dryad. Thank you. I'm dumb. Rob Nick giving us an update on the World's Top 4. Brian Braun-Doohan is on to the finals of Worlds after taking out Shota Yasuka 3-0. And BBD is on ban Eldrazi this weekend. One of the better performing decks of Worlds. I think it had somewhere around a 70% win percentage.
I'm trying to figure out what John's most likely path to victory is.
Probably Path to Exile.
Yeah, I mean, obviously chipping in with the Hierarchs is a start.
Alright, so John does chip a little damage in with the Hierarch.
Yeah, so John does have lethal now, but it's unlikely that he's gonna... Alright, so this is going after the other Hierarch, which...
He has 2 negates now in hand? Is that what I saw? No.
So going after the untapped Hierarch is nice because it's gonna keep John off mana if it goes down.
Protecting it with Vines of Askwood. Does he pull the trigger on the gate here?
Hexproof.
Yes, he does.
And there's another Vines.
He could play the other Vines.
I actually like that because it keeps both Hierarchs in play, and then Ryan has a Dispel and an Unknown.
That was
card.
the Noble that attacked, right?
Yes.
So if he's tapped out here, and the negate is hitting the Vines that is on the untapped Hierarch, if he floats mana from Noble Hierarch, uses that for Become Immense, and then Vines the tapped Noble.
This is already after combat.
Oh, we're out of combat?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just doing this end of turn.
Okay, my bad. Then ignore me, I'm awful.
I'm pretty sure he's going to save this Noble Hierarch.
I think he has to.
Because that does leave Ryan with Dispel and an Unknown, right?
Yes.
And Dispel's...
The Unknown is
Unfortunately, Dispel is pretty good against this hand because John's going to have to expend his graveyard and not be able to cast 2 Become Immenses.
Yep. He can cast 2, I think.
Well, now with the 2 Vines in, 1, 2, 3.
If they go on a
4,
land, he gets
5,
2.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's
So
still short. If he has, okay, that actually gets him there.
There's a get probe. So John will go to 13 off the Tatian probe. He's going to reveal Mana Leak, Cryptic Command, and Lightning Helix. 2 of those spells are good right now. One of those spells can't be played. Robnik saying this is where we need Sylvan Scrying.
Yep. He's not wrong. So 30 become immenses.
That's a reasonable number, right?
Glistener Elf. Didn't misremember. He is able to cast 2 now.
Yeah,
Doesn't have vines though.
Swinging for.
Problem is
coming in for 2.
This is I actually forgot about the Cryptic. That was the other card he's had the whole game. Oh,
Ryan to 7.
He used the.
There's a Helix.
Was I just mistaken about the Dispel, or did he cast it? I forgot.
He had already casted it.
Oh, right. So it's the Mana Leak.
Yeah, He's holding Mana Leak Cryptic after this Helix. So, Mana Leak for all intents and purposes.
Well, if he fights over this...
It's going to get Mana Leaked.
Yeah, I think John's favored to win after that, though. He can deploy...
He's forcing him to cast the Mana Leak here.
Right, and he can...
You either save the Hierarch or you pump it next turn and have lethal. I think this is a very good play from John. Yep, forcing out the Mana Leak from Ryan.
And then... This is just lethal next turn.
Correct. Unless he pulls up a threat. Looks like Mana Leak was the draw.
Alright, that's unfortunate, because... Oh, John's not going to go for it.
Oh, there's the Mana Leak.
Oh, wait, that's lethal? Wait. Ah!
No, I think he's still fine. No, he's not.
I mean, that was 7 damage, right?
Yeah.
You attack with Noble Hierarch and cast Become Immense?
Yep. That would have been lethal. No, he's at 11, so off the Helix.
Oh, God, sorry. 11 off the
Helix?
Helix?
Missed the life gain. We missed the life gain from Helix.
My fault. Also, I thought he went down to 7 in game 3, but apparently it was at 8 in game 3.
Alright. Those dice are hard to read, so... At least hard to tell what side they're on.
Right, because I forgot that he didn't double vines.
Correct. Lightning Helix did resolve.
Yep. Not bad.
I just want to be able to see chat.
Back down to 9.
Yep. Well, he's now going to have his extra blue source to get Cryptic Command online. Which on tap your team, draw a card isn't the worst thing in the world. There's a Spell Pierce. Insane. Become Immense will do it.
Jeez.
Alright, so we're going to game 3. Well played by John.
Yeah, so that was well played. So this is what I was talking
good top
about.
deck too.
I mean, it's what I'm talking about when John is just expending all of Ryan's removal spells.
Yeah.
Because when you're not staring down like an Ancestral Visions, they can't necessarily recoup it all.
Yeah. Sneaky, thanks for that suggestion. I'll make sure Jimmy gets word of that.
Yeah, and if you guys see a life total discrepancy between the overlay and the dice on the table, go with the dice, because we're just manually updating it to reflect the dice on the table.
Yep. Rob Nick, the Infect player sideboard is 3 Finks, 3 Nature's Claim, 2 Cage, 2 Spellskite, 2 Pierce, 1 Dispel, 1 Distortion Strike, and 1 Dismember.
Yep. So, yeah, we saw some interesting sideboarding decisions. Both players had cards that we weren't expecting to be in. I'm always back and forth on Spellskite in this matchup. It's like... It has its moments. It was arguably okay that game, but really all it did was prevent Ryan from casting a Helix for a while. He did have to top deck a Wear and Tear to unlock it, but that happens. I mean, and that was Rob Nick's argument for why Spellskite might be weak in this matchup, because they have a lot of ways to just cleanly answer it. So if you're Spellskite, you know, if they want to, they can just path or wear tear your Spellskite. Even so, though, that is a removal spell that isn't getting pointed towards your infect creature.
Sure.
So there's arguments on both sides.
Yes,
I'm curious to see if John boarded out his Dryad Arbor, because Dryad Arbor seems like a liability in this matchup to me.
Yeah. Land that doesn't tap immediately just gets killed.
And it also, yeah, right. It's a land that
it's bolt bait.
Dies.
Yeah. Reasonable hand from Ryan. I didn't see his lands, but his spells are definitely good in this matchup.
So John has a hand he's probably going to keep. It has protection spells, pump spells, a way to, well, I guess...
Was it 3 lands?
There's a ways to kill a Spellskite, and it has an infect creature in the form of Inkmoth Nexus, which is arguably the best one, besides, like, an Inkmoth or a Elf in the play. But
Right. He opted to Mulligan. Interesting choice.
I am very bad at predicting John's decisions, apparently.
You know.
It's working out for him. Alright, let's see if the 6 is more to his liking.
Sub-Zero wins.
Sub-Zero likes it. I still don't know if chat can even hear when it says Sub-Zero wins.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, certainly going to keep this one. So he's got the Inkmoth, the 1-mana infect threat,
yep,
plus
Glistener
pump
Elf.
and protection. So.
Yep. So Ryan's going to lead off here off of Serum Visions. Sees double Lightning Helix off top, traditional. You know, normal thing you'd want to scry. Did he bottom both of those?
Ooh, another Inkmoth pickup is a good one.
I'm trying to look at what lands he has. I didn't quite get a glimpse. I know he has 3. I don't know if he has access to white mana, though. So you're playing a little fast. John's going to go to 17 here and cast Glistener Elf, which is going to see a bolt immediately.
Yep. No surprise there.
Yep. Can you adjust life totals, please?
Yep.
Alright, Inkmoth to play from John here. Going to cast Noble Hierarch. And ship back to Ryan.
Yep, and Hierarch and Inkmoth is not a bad combination.
Looks like Ryan drew a copy of Vendilion Click.
So I can jump in front of an Inkmoth.
It can. So yeah, it appears Ryan's off white mana right now, so his Nahiri is dead. Or uncastable, rather. So John's going to drop the second Inkmoth, activate his first Inkmoth, and probably look to get in here for a few points of infect damage.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see the Vendilion Click here.
Yep, if Ryan gets white mana here, he does have access to Path and Nahiri, which are both in his hand. So as you expected, Ryan's
I mean, I was expecting
Click.
to see it in combat.
When were you expecting to see it? End of turn?
I was expecting to see it in combat.
Oh, in combat. Okay.
Maybe Robnik knows why it's better to cast it before attacks. Because you can always attack it, or you can cast it before, you know, like, you get the information before blocks if you need it.
So John's hand is Double Vines, Groundswell, Spell Pierce here. Do you take anything?
That's tough. I guess it depends on the texture of Ryan's hand, which I can't quite see here. But it's pretty tough to battle through all of that protection against Inkmoths because you can't kill the stuff in your main phase.
Yep. Alright, so Ryan elects to get rid of the Spell Pierce, drawing John a mystery card.
And now John...
Was that a Might of Old Corrosa?
And now John has the option of whether or not he wants to attack. So you have a judge question here, I suppose? I'm not sure exactly what this is.
Oh, what's going on here?
John's asking the judge a question.
Sorry, I was looking away for a second. Robnik's saying attack.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with attacking. I was just commenting that the Vendilion Click came down before attacks.
So we're checking with our front of store spotter to see what the judge call is right now. While we're resolving that, what do you think is on the top 8 decks so far today? We know there's at least one Affinity.
So it's
at
mostly
least one Valakut deck, I believe.
It's like Affinity, Valakut, and Abzan decks mostly.
That's what most of this tournament was to begin with. A third of the tournament.
So okay, so they're actually having a judge call over where in the turn they are, which is what I was talking about before. So I think one of them might be saying that they're in the main phase, and the other
is in declare. Or
so
begin
it's
combat
possible that Ryan was responding to the Inkmoth activation,
okay,
which would make more sense than casting it in the beginning of combat step before attackers. And the possible reasoning for casting Click before the Inkmoth is activated is that he can't use any pump spells on it.
Yeah, so he does use the Groundswell there to save his Inkmoth. Vendilion Click's going to bite the dust.
And the ruling was that they were still in the main phase.
Okay.
Which makes sense.
Alright, so there's the potential white source from Ryan off Lighted Strand.
Mm-hmm. That unlocks, what, Nahiri?
Path to Exile and Nahiri, which are both in his hand.
Yeah, I'm wondering what are the other 2 cards, if you know? Because we know John's hand.
I think Cryptic was in there. That also unlocks Cryptic, incidentally.
Oh boy. The old Cryptic command.
I'm still wondering why he kept that in his matchup, especially on the draw. Oh, it's Cade Ryan. We saw Ryan. We can fix that real quick.
Yeah, so we actually had the Jeskai Nahiri's player's name wrong. It's actually Cade Ryan, not Ryan Cade. So I apologize for that.
I mean, we cast Twisted Image on his name. It's okay.
Yeah.
All is well in the world once again. So you're rooting for BBD like I am?
I don't know.
No, you don't know?
A horse in that race. Yeah.
Be nice to see him win. He's a very stand-up member of the Magic community. So John's going to attack for 3 Infect here. Ryan, or Cade rather, sorry, electing to take the 3 Infect.
Yeah, and Roddick's pointing out that Spell Snare is really narrow versus Infect. It hits Spellskite, Blighted Agent, and Apostle's Blessing, and not much else. And obviously, if you kick Vines of the Vastwood, you're spending 2 mana, but its CMC is still 1, so
sure.
Spell Snare doesn't get it.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure we're still in end step. Snap Bolt. Snapcaster trying to bolt the Inkmoth.
Yeah, which will kill it, right? Because it has 3 damage marked on it.
Correct. From the Vendilion Click.
From the Click.
Yep. Protecting it with Vines. Gonna path in response, most likely.
Yeah, I think that works out okay for John.
Cade likely going to... Yep, he's going to go to 17 off of this. So both players will be tied in terms of life totals. Sneaky, that's probably because their local player database in Whir has your name spelled incorrectly. They can update it at the local store level for one event, but in order to get it permanent, you'll probably have to get in touch with Wizards. And the second Vines of Vastwood here.
Whew,
just dismantling his removal.
It's really fortunate that Cade has the discipline to fight over this stuff at the end step. Because sometimes players think that they have so much removal that they can just fire it off, and they just die because the Infect player has all the answers.
Yeah, but this is teaching me a lot about the Infect matchup and how to play it optimally.
In this case, he wasn't able to kick those Vines, but...
Still get hexproof.
So he wouldn't have been quite punished, but...
Yeah, I mean,
it's still
each Inkmoth attack is going to be 3 damage here, so it's still a significant clock.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, it'll get to the point where he only has to do 1 damage. Ooh. So now it's representing 4, which is...
Was that all?
Lethal in 2 turns. There's a little out-of-order sequencing of this.
Another Snapcaster. Looks like he's responding to the Exalted trigger. He's going to path it.
He's not. He's doing this before.
Before
this timing
combat
is
again.
not correct because now John can tap the Inkmoth and animate the other one.
Yeah.
So this is actually
a
mistake.
Bad. He still has
Unless
priority
they
to
just
do it.
communicate it differently.
Yep.
Even if this is the beginning of combat, John can just tap it for mana and fire up the other one. That's a pretty big misstep, I think.
So he tapped Ag colorless.
Yep.
He's going to fetch off the path. And I think that leaves the door open.
This is why Control's dead in Modern.
Not quite dead. There's the activation of Ink Moth off the colorless. Going to swing in for 4 Infect, take him to 7. Yeah, the timing of that was curious. The draw was a land. And the worst part about this is Nahiri does nothing.
I mean, John doesn't know it right now, but the game's over, right? I mean, Nahiri
can draw a card, but it'll be tapped out.
Well, he has a land, so he has to cash in this spell snare right now and hope he gets a bolt does it.
Yep, there it is.
A path does it.
Nahiri.
And
it's an Electrolyze.
Yeah, that was a
interesting keep in the board.
I mean, he kind of time walked himself.
Yeah.
With the timing.
I honestly wouldn't have played Electrolyze at all post board. I don't think that spell is very good against Infect anyway. But John Tatian with Infect is going to move on to our top 8 at 4-1, and Cade Ryan's going to hope for some good tiebreakers at 3-2.
Yep.
And we're going to see if there's another feature match we can bring on. I'm going to step out real quick and check on that.
Yep, so we're going to switch it over to advertisement for probably just a minute, and then if the rounds are ending, we'll have your top 8 pretty quickly. Otherwise, we'll have another backup feature match.
Sounds good, and we'll be right back. Thanks so much.